Let's move on.
Yep.
We're going to go to possibly a lighter topic.
That's what I was going to say. Is it really lighter?
Maybe. It depends where we take it.
So let's just, I guess, like, I was going to talk about bad habits, but we can just talk about habits in general, too, as well. Like, whether they're bad, they're good, because habits are habits. But anyways, like, I wanted to speak about a little bit about habits. And, for example, one of them that I'm noticing in my life right now that needs to kind of get out is my Red Bull addictions.
Red Bull addiction.
It's
I
no
don't know if
joke.
people are still addicted to Red Bull.
It's like so it was at one point where it was like every day because I felt so drained. I've been feeling so drained. I'm doing things nonstop, whether it's physical, it's mental, just things nonstop, and children too. It's like all put together where I'm like by 3 o'clock I'm like, holy shit, I either need a nap or I need a Red Bull or I need something because
nap is not happening.
And naps don't work because like I take a nap and then I end up sleeping. I'm the guy with like 4 hours later and you're like, what just happened? Like,
or it's like dad.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. So I drink the Red Bull and I've got it down now to like every other day to every third day kind of thing. And the way that I've been breaking that bad habit has been awareness, like I was talking about before. It's about being aware of when I'm wanting that Red Bull or when I'm going to make that decision to go get the Red Bull. Being like, hey, wait, I'm aware that I'm about to go do that. Should I do that? And then sometimes I'll be like, yeah, fuck it, I'm going.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'm like, no, I'm not going to. And that's now made it from being every day to now every like other to every third day. And then slowly as I keep working on this, I can see it going away. But as of right now, it's a part of one of my bad habits.
Yeah, and that could be a really good one or a really bad good one because caffeine is like pretty detrimental. And I've been talking about this a lot with my gym partner because him and his other gym partner are like whacked out on stimulants, you know, from the gym and everything, from like pre-workouts and whatever.
Yeah.
And I am extremely,
and all that. Yeah,
like I'm extremely sensitive to stimulants because I've never done a drug in my life. I've never drank, I've never smoked, I've never done any drugs, and so my body is like, what is this foreign substance?
Yeah.
And I take a pre-workout before I go to the gym, and sometimes I'll have a Rockstar, but it's like the 0-calorie one, so I don't get like all the sugar. Because that's like another thing about the Red Bull. It's a ton of sugar.
It's a ton of sugar. That's the part that I'm looking at too. I'm like, ooh.
So like you have to think about that. But yeah, that caffeine can do some real damage. There's an episode on MTV, True Life. I don't know if you remember that show from like way back when. But they had one of I'm addicted to caffeine. And so if you ever want to like check yourself before you wreck yourself on caffeine, check out that episode because there was a girl that was drinking like so much caffeine that she was having seizures.
Oh my
God. Because she was like overdosing on caffeine. So like don't be that guy, Rocco.
No, I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm
move
trying
to
not
coffee
to.
or something.
That's why I've definitely like. Well, I do drink. That's the other thing. So I'll drink a cup of coffee in the morning. I get my caffeine from that, and then I'll go get another source of caffeine later, like that Red Bull. Like I said, it's like every third day now. You know, I had one yesterday, so I probably won't have one today.
Yeah, you gotta slowly wean yourself off.
But it's the caffeine and it's the sugar. So like I've and then noticing the habit, right? The habit I feel like formed for sugar from my dad. My dad used to bribe me and my brother with candy so that he could get alcohol.
Ruined you on that stuff.
Because he had a habit of alcoholism. So he was like, hey, I'll get beer. You guys cool with it? I'll get you some candy. I'm like, hell yeah, I want some candy.
I can just imagine a little
I'm
Rocco
fucking
with a
6,
candy
Dad. You
sugar
can't
high.
Yeah.
Just going
No,
nuts.
And I've got Sour Patch Kids.
Mealy, EverQuest, mealy.
I gotta have diabetes. Like,
I
just gotta have diabetes. This is a bad habit. I can't get out of the sugar thing. But no, but speaking about it, so I started looking into habits and things like that, and I've always been the believer of the old idea of it takes 21 days of nonstop over and over and over, and then you get past that habit. But a lot of the research that I was looking to says that that's not true.
Yeah.
It's actually more like 66 days of like making sure you're creating it into becoming something like over and over and over, and then it's actually ingrained in the brain at that point. And the reason why habits are even kind of exist is because the brain's always about energy efficiency, and to make a decision outside of the norm is now taking more energy to create that decision. So it likes to go down the path of just the stuff that's easy, it's efficient.
That's fascinating.
Which is decisions that you've already made before. You've created yourself the habits, you've ingrained your highway.
Yeah.
Now to change that highway takes a lot more energy. So your brain's already working against you. It's already trying to be like, no, you want that caffeine. And you're like, no, I don't want the caffeine. It's like, no, go get the caffeine.
So then why are some people able
what we
to
do.
cut addictions and change habits
Cold
where other
turkey?
people end up, like people try quit smoking every day. So a lot of people
Because
actually get through it.
I'm not a big believer in conditions either, okay? This is my take on this whole thing. I'm not a big believer in conditions. It really doesn't take this step to that step. You could do it overnight. Just depends upon your like willpower and your drive and your beliefs. Do I need the caffeine every day? I tell myself I do for whatever reason, right? So I drink it every day. But if I didn't believe that, maybe I'd start changing that, like a little bit sooner than later. I'd stop identifying with it. You know what I mean? And when I identify with it, I put more awareness on it, more focus on it, more this or that, and it leads it to become a part of my reality. You know, where I think I could choose differently. I just don't overnight. Like,
you're a goal-oriented person, so I think that helps with any willpower that you might have, small or big.
What?
You're a goal-oriented person, right? So that
exactly.
combined with willpower allows you to set certain milestones that you really like to achieve, right?
I think that's important though, because if you don't have the goals, it's like it hinders the drive.
Yeah,
you start to like lack that wanting to go do it, because now it feels like, why the fuck am I doing this? Yeah. You don't have that painted picture of why you're doing it. You know what I mean? Like, it could take 3 years to get where you want to go, but those 3 years might suck. And if you're not thinking about the end game, you might give up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I think a lot of the time, specifically with like substance addictions and stuff too, it is a huge, huge, huge component of willpower and just like wanting it. But also depending on the substance and depending on the the physiology of some people's bodies, like you can get addicted. Caffeine is one of the most addictive substances in the world, and so is sugar. Almost, I think I was reading things that said it's more addictive than things like heroin and meth even. So think about it. Most people, the majority of people are addicted to caffeine. They have to have coffee every day, and some like outrageous amount of it too. So like it's when it comes to, like actual like thought processes of habits, or like, you just deciding, if you're going to go to the gym, is that going to be a habit? Or like a caffeine addiction, like those two things are on like slightly different, I would say, like wavelengths. But it is really a lot about mental, because even if your body doesn't want you to do this thing, you have to override it,
So talking about the gym, like you were just saying, like I've been through that. I've been in times where it's like I was out of the gym and then all of a sudden I was just like next day and every day from there on out, and I did. And then there's times like right now where it's like I'll get in there on Monday and I'm like, I think I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna be on the road.
I've hit that days so many times.
We're talking about the same topic. It's just that change of the mental upstairs where it doesn't want it to happen overnight, and I don't want to be doing it every day. Yeah. And because I don't really want it, I'm not gonna make it happen.
You want to play Smite.
I want to play Smite instead. Play video games.
But I think that what you said, Rocco, is awesome in a way, because you're putting yourself, like you're giving yourself another habit of checking your habit. You know what I mean? Like you'll say, do I want to actually engage in this habit? So like you've now formed that habit of like double checking yourself.
Alan just had a light bulb go on. He was
that's totally what I feel though, because I'm like, before, like a day I'll be like, okay, I need to go do this thing, I need to go do this thing, and then when it gets to that point, I don't do that second check. I'm just like, yeah, but I'm here now, so I better just do this other thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is way easier to do. Because I was just thinking when we were talking, I was like, okay, I gotta go to the gym at 11. Like, I gotta go do this thing today. But I'm just like, man, I better be really committed to doing this. If otherwise, I'm just gonna. Rocco's gonna be like, okay, I'm getting on Smite. Like, so who else wants to join? I'll be like, me.
Damn, I'm getting on Smite.
Let me play games too. I'm like, wait, I'm supposed to go to the gym. No.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Peer pressure is another thing that affects it.
Checking your habits. Yeah.
Peer pressure.
That's
but
really
like,
good.
I don't know.
Really
what would you call it? It's not peer pressure, but the idea of other people having fun.
I mean, just sticking to what you're like set out to do. Really, I mean, like just checking your habits, like Rachel said. I think is just
and the reason why I guess I do that is because I look at a life like the book where you could always choose which direction you wanted to go down. You know what I mean? And I look at it like that. So it's like if you're not being conscious of every choice you're making, then you're being led by who knows what's going on. You're just like your other past habits that you might not want to have. You know what I mean? So
or
if you
other
can
people's influences or whatever have you.
Whatever
they're certainly not like your own.
Not your own
choice.
It's not your own choice right there at that moment. So it's like and that's a difficult one, to be honest. But when you can start to do it, I think you start to control your life.
Yeah,
like what's
absolutely.
your outcome.
It gives you a superpower to be able to like overcome that stuff, right? Like,
and I think a lot of times like people don't like control. Like I've found that when I have conversations with people, like because I don't drink or smoke or they're like, how do you do it? How do you do it? I'm like, I just literally like don't have an interest in it. They're like, I could never. And it's like, why? It's you choose it, and that's fine if you choose it. But they act like they're out of control of their body, and it's like they like the idea that like there's some external force that's influencing things, and like they're not responsible.
Right.
Like it's something else, and it's like, no, man, you gotta own your shit, man.
It's
like,
it's the fact of being able to do something without having the responsibility, which is really powerful. I mean,
and like I I hate that. I am so annoyed by people who act like that.
Yeah.
Like,
I gotta admit, I loved it in college because we could do whatever we want without any responsibility. Really.
it's like, oh well, I'm in college.
Yeah. But like, but also we didn't have a job. We just got to have fun. Like,
Pew, pew, pew.
so there's a little bit of that. But I think
Somebody-
generationally, I don't want to put an us versus them, but I feel like the baby boomer generation has a lot of that where, I don't know, a lot of stuff was paid for them, and they like got to be able to like benefit from a lot of the work that was done from the previous generations, and so it's kind of hard for them to see us try to change what they were considered normal. So I don't know. I think in terms of control and responsibility, they don't necessarily. I think what I'm trying to say. This is a stretch a little bit, but what I'm trying to say is I think a lot of things of how you do things were set for them. This is the way marriage is. This is the way you get a car, you get a house, you get a blah blah. They didn't necessarily
Question as much.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Possibly.
Like that stuff was there for them, but like
Yeah.
our generation is a little bit more.
It's trying to-
less-
you wanna
talk about millennials, man?
Yeah, no. I'm a little preview to future stuff.
you why that might be a possibility, bro.
Okay, I'm done.
Because we were the first generation
I'm
to grow up with internet access, man. So we can question shit.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, like you said, Clay, like don't want to question anything. Like people just don't like to question. They like to stay out of control. Like I can't. I'm very much like a control. Like I like to control me. I don't like to control other people. I like power imbalances like that. Like freak me out. I don't want to control anybody else. But I want everything that comes out of my mouth, everything that I do, to be completely controlled by me. And I thought about it, and I made that decision, and I wanted it. Because otherwise, you end up with like some shit you don't even want, and you're like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
You know, and like
Totally.
you don't know how you got there. You know?
Yeah.
So like.
It's a
People
weird.
don't, people don't do it because it's just like it's uncomfortable to talk
Yeah.
about that kind of thing too. So it's just like, oh, why would I even put myself in that situation where I'm
Well-
uncomfortable with what I'm
Right.
saying or thinking or putting myself in check? It's just like I'll just keep doing it the way I've been doing. I feel good that way. Who
It's easy to
cares?
just keep
Yeah,
Like
it's
like
easy.
Rachel said, people don't. It's like people don't like taking self-responsibility. It makes them feel uncomfortable taking self-responsibility for everything that's going on. Every word that they say or action that they take, they don't like saying, "Hey, that was my choice."
Yeah.
Like I had a choice there to do it that way or this way or say this or that, and I didn't watch it and I didn't check it, and because I didn't, I said it, and I don't want to take that responsibility.
No, so I'm just gonna act
Yeah.
like it was.
I'm
Some,
gonna act like
weird,
whatever.
like
Yeah,
outside,
exactly.
like some ghost came in and like
Yeah, exactly.
you know.
So what?
Like-
So habits. Back to habits. What are you guys' bad habits or good habits?
Hmm.
So you were talking about the gym. That's a good habit, right? At least a healthy habit. But it also
Well,
could
if
lead
you
to
actually go.
it could lead to a bad habit too, like the people
I think
that
the good
eventually.
thing about my gym is that like I'm actually like pretty ingrained in it myself. Like I like going now, but when I first started, my gym partner is actually my ex-boyfriend, which is like weird. Some people think that's weird, but like we started when we were dating, and so like it was easy to just be like that's kind of like a way we can hang out because his schedule was like kind of is like crazy whatever, and so it was like okay, we're going to the gym, and then now if I ever get like off track, we have that relationship built where we can guilt each other because we used to date at one point, so we know each other's like bullshit and can call it, So like
Oh,
it's good to
yeah.
have that like extra person that's just like, I know what you're trying to do and I'm not gonna let you. So like
Yeah.
they check my bad habits if I'm like slacking or whatever. So
and that
so I think
helps,
that's-
honestly. That
Yeah,
honestly
having
does
another
help.
person definitely helps.
Yeah, I mean that's why it's like really important to find a good partner in life too, as well. Whether it's a gym partner or any other type of partner, so they can help check your bad habits. That
Yeah.
happened to me just yesterday or the day before. Hence my topic. Like I got checked, so I was like, shit. I don't like to confront myself.
Was it related to Smite or was it related to Red Bull?
It was related to Smite.
Yeah, I think.
And Red Bull probably. You're probably jacked on Red Bull while playing Smite and got checked, and your brain was like,
Yep.
Like attack mode, use emotions, feel angry. I was like, okay, no, logic and reason. Shit, you're right. I feel
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
Like, my bad.
That's so funny.
I think one of my like biggest.
Damn, how'd you know that, Clay? Shit.
Because
Yeah.
we're very similar. I have the same amount of checks.
I may know.
Yeah.
I may know.
I get checked. If Karina and Sarah were to talk on the phone, I feel like they could talk for hours about how we are very similar in our bad habits. Right?
I think that's true of like anybody. Like if you talk to someone's significant other, it's just like they know way too much information.
They know way too much.
Yeah.
Way too much. It's like
You almost like want to just be like, no, I might have to kill you one day.
I might have to. If you ever leave, you know you're gonna have to die, right? Like
Can't-
And
I can't allow-
secrets to like
You-
how to get to me on things. Like, ooh, I gotta take you out. But anyway, yeah, back to the bad habits. I think one of my biggest bad habits is I'm really bad with like wanting to keep things in a routine. I think because I grew up like having things very structured and not being allowed to have certain things because we didn't grow up with a lot. And, you know, so it was just like, it was regimented in like a negative kind of way that now that I'm an adult, it's like, I'm going to do whatever I want to do when I want to do it. And like, I'm a freelancer, so like I can work when I want. And
It's
like,
amazing how that ripples into your...
Like, yeah, like
You know what
I
I
look
mean?
around and I'm like, I didn't do anything today, like, because I didn't have like a schedule. And so I've been trying to like get that in check. Also, one of my biggest bad habits, especially since I run my business from my house, is like I will like start something and then like put it down and just like leave it there. And I live alone, so like if I don't give a fuck, like nobody does. And so like there's like a project over here and like this over here. It's never dirty dishes because that's like disgusting. But like, you know, just like a half of a drawing and like half of a sewn thing and like some colored pencils. And then before I know it, I look around and every flat surface in my house is like piled up with like stupid varying degrees of like nonsense. And I'm like, do I just never put anything away? Like, where do these things go? Like,
You're just an artist. You're just an artist. That's all. That's all.
Yeah, exactly.
You have an excuse.
Yeah, and
No, wait,
genius
no,
is...
this is probably my bad habit. I'm like justifying it all.
Yes, exactly.
yeah. I mean, actually, I think I read that messiness is like a sign of high intelligence, but even still, it's like unacceptable. And there are things in my house that I swear to Jesus has no home because it's been brought into the house and set in some inconspicuous, like bizarre, stupid way. And like, I never found a place for it. So I'm like, where do you even live? Like, I don't know where you go.
Yeah.
Like, I guess you have to just sit here because I don't know. Like, so yeah, that's a
I'm the
huge
same.
bad.
I just have piles of stuff. I
Yeah.
just have piles of things at work.
Well,
I do the same thing. My desk is like mad mess. Like I don't know how I know.
You know where everything is, though.
I do, but like it's just
I don't.
a pile.
Alec does.
like
I don't. I
Like,
got a pile. I don't know shit.
Kiko, where is my super
dick in
suit?
this file.
it's like I know exactly where my pen is. I have to like squirm my hand through my papers and my folders and underneath.
But
my
if you had
book.
died or like were in the hospital and they were like, I need to go on my desk and like find this, someone
Yeah.
was like, I can't find anything. Rocco will not have this.
Yeah,
If this
you will
to
never
save
have
his
it.
life, he would be
It just
dead.
wasn't. That's a bad habit too. I've got some bad habits. I'm not gonna lie. There's quite a few. And we talked about dirty dishes. You said for a quick second. That's disgusting. I
yeah.
tend to do that one. Be like, oh wait, my food. Dirty dish on the table or on the counter.
You're worse than Satan.
I think.
And then I'll see them and I'll do them later. Like I tend to like let them build and then I'm like, all right, this time, and I'll put on my headphones and go at it. But I sure as hell don't do it like immediately. Not at all.
one of my bad habits, I
No.
think, is being somewhat of a workaholic or taking on too much.
Oh God.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like I work very long hours. Like,
Sounds
there's
like
that
you're in a
work-life
job
balance.
interview, bro. Get out of here.
I know, but it's true, right?
My bad habits. It's
My
like
bad habit is actually
It's
a
like the
really
worst.
good
Never say that as a response to like what is your like weakest trait. Don't ever say I work too much because that is like I use that as a joke actually in interviews because it is funny how when people say that. But like what I'm trying to describe is like podcast, like wanting to do extra projects, wanting to teach my own job that I want to work like 10 hours a day each day. Like I want to like do all these things and I'll bring it up, be like, oh man, Sarah, I can make some extra money and like fulfill like a need by like doing a coding project, or oh, I can be an adjunct professor because they're looking for it. And Sarah's like, when are you gonna do that? Like if
It's
you
not
do
about
that,
you.
you got to take something out. And what are you gonna take out? And I'm like, I don't know, Sunday. She's like, well then when are we gonna hang? I'm like,
Never.
I don't know. Right?
That's,
You know what I mean?
that's
So, like-
what's going on in my life right now.
Right.
I've got everything from like the same thing, like growing stuff to the food to any and everything to my job and all the other different stuff. It's like, ooh, spreading too thin, man.
Right.
Yeah, that's a slippery
Honestly.
slope because like you want to stay busy and you want to have varied interests and you
Yeah.
want to be able to touch on like all your different interests and
Right.
like whatever. But then, you know, you realize that like there is a such thing as spreading yourself too thin and then you're not good to any of those
Yeah.
things, you know.
Yeah.
So now you're like
Yeah.
doing everything at like a shittier level because you've like expended too much of your energy like trying to spread out too much and like you kind of have to figure out like
It
what's
goes this extreme. Yesterday, I was looking up drones again to get back into doing
my
like
God.
drone
Stop it.
flying. Like,
Stop
no, I'm
it.
not kidding. It's like that.
Stop
It's like
it.
For your
that.
Pokemon
Like,
Go.
Yeah,
no,
for your
it's-
Pokemon.
No, not for Pokemon Go. Just
Sure,
because
sure,
of, like
sure,
I
sure,
love
sure.
to
Yeah,
fly and
whatever.
I
stuff.
love
And I'm just
drones.
like,
I just love drones.
Yeah, it's Pokemon.
Guys, I just love drones.
Love drones.
Can
they
we
just sold a Pokemon Go drone.
Can
I
we
gotta
get a
get it.
T-shirt that like Rocco silhouette of just
It's just like
I
it's
just
like
love
I just love drones.
Yeah, seriously, I want to make that. You know, you guys can make T-shirts.
I'm just like, I love drones.
Yeah.
All right, any last thoughts on bad habits before we move on?
What about you, Alan? I don't think you said any bad.
No, I just have too many. I was just kind of ashamed.
No, man, no. You're
No,
saying
because like everything you guys are saying, like I do all those things. I think definitely not following through on a plan. bad habit is not being organization. So like just kind of like flowing through the day, like letting one thing lead into the next rather than actually like sticking to like, hey, go from this thing to this thing to this thing. Otherwise, it just kind of like goes down this tunnel, this loop where I'm just like, okay, now I'm finished with work. Now I'm going to go home and like eat. Okay, now, oh my God, it's like 12. I got to go to bed. Next thing I know, it's like the next day's already started. So definitely like segmenting time to actually do all those things, because I have a huge list, like you guys were saying, of I want to do this thing for like, a half hour. I want to do this thing. I got to allocate my time, but I just never actually stick to it. And I think that's probably like the biggest thing that's really holding me back from being able to accomplish like a lot of the things that I want to do right now.
That's interesting.
Hey, and habits stay in place because of unconsciousness or the lack of awareness. So if you can change that, then you can change those habits, honestly.
And I noticed that because like I love to have like that schedule and like know where things are. Like if I put my keys somewhere, then they're one designated spot, they're gone. Like they're lost. It has to be that habitual place for me, especially. Otherwise, it just all falls apart.